Digestive system. Hello friends. So today's topic is digestive system और इसके अंडर हम जो points हम discuss करने वाले हैं it is what is digestion, the summary of the digestion for the alimentary canal और जैसे आप लोगों ने मेरे पुराने वीडियो में देखा था जिसमें मैंने आपको डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम क्या होता है उसके बारे में बताया था, तो अगर आप डिटेल जानना चाहते हैं तो ये एक लिंक मैंने आप प्रोवाइड कर दिया है अपने पुराने उसका वीडियो का, तो आप जाके देख सकते हैं डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम क्या होता है। फिर आज के टॉपिक्स जो हम डिस्कस करने वाले हैं वो है व्हाट आर एंजाइम्स, द इट्स टाइप्स, सोर्सेज, एक 3D व्यू में उसके जो एंजाइम्स का वर्किंग है वो, डाइजेस्टिव एंजाइम्स की डेफिशिएंसी के बारे में हम लोग बात करेंगे, और वो फूड जो खाने जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं हमारे डाइजेस्टिव एंजाइम्स को मेंटेन करने के लिए बॉडी के अंदर जो प्रेजेंट हैं, और अगर उनकी डेफिशिएंसी हो गई है तो कौन से फूड हम खाएं जिससे वो डेफिशिएंसी रिकवर हो जाए और हमारा जो डाइजेशन का प्रोसेस है वो स्मूथली प्रॉपरली वर्क ऑन करे। सो लेट्स मूव फर्दर, let's discuss about what exactly the digestion is. Digestion is the process of physical and chemical breakdown of large and complex molecules of food into simple and small molecules by the action of hydrolytic enzymes so that they can diffuse into the blood through the gut walls. It converts the nutrients present in the food into simpler, soluble, and easily diffusible substances that can be utilized in the body cells. In digestion, if we see, this digestion contains two main processes. One is the mechanical process and another one is the chemical process. First, the mechanical process. It includes the mechanical process, like we can term it this mechanical process as physical process. So the processes like your ingestion of the food and its chewing, crushing, grinding, swallowing, churning, mixing with the mucus or digestive juices, and the conduction within the alimentary canal. In comparison to this chemical process, it is the micronutrients of the animals like your carbohydrates, lipids, and the proteins. They generally occur in food in the form of large and complex insoluble polymers or small soluble unit molecules which are termed as monomers. The linkages of these monomers in these polymers are anhydro bonds. These polymers they break down into their monomers when made to react with water. This is their digestion process, but actually it is a chemically it is their hydrolysis going on. Moving further, if we step by step let's just discuss, we can just in a brief manner we can say, let's see what exactly the digestion how it takes place. First, the teeth, tongue, and the saliva it turns the food into a bolus which is small and liquid enough to pass through the esophagus. Then the bolus it enters the stomach where the mucus action, acids, and the enzymes they turn it into a paste which is termed as your chyme. This chyme now enters the small intestine. Here about 90% of the absorption occurs and the nutrients enter the bloodstream through the capillaries in the villi. From there, the nutrient travels to the various body cells. Further, then the leftover, the remaining food, it passes into the colon of the large intestine. The body absorbs the water as the food passes through to the rectum and where it is ready for the diffaction process to occur. So here is the main working. I have tried to show through this picture also. Through this picture, I have tried to show you the different organs which are present in the which work in the for the process of digestion, what exactly their working is, so you can just go through it. Moving further, so our next top point is the digestive enzymes, what exactly the digestive enzymes are. So the substances that help in the digestion of the food, those are your digestive enzymes. The term enzyme was coined by Kunhe in 1878, obtained by the yeast. The enzymes are the proteins produced in the living tissues. They act as biocatalysts and speed up chemical reactions occurring within the body without altering the end products and without themselves being chemically changed at the end of the reaction. They are secreted by salivary glands and cell linings of the stomach, pancreas, and small intestine. They are released when we anticipating eating, smell, or we taste the food and finally go through the digestive process. A variety of health conditions, especially those that affect the pancreas, can lead to the deficiencies in the digestive enzymes. This is because the pancreas secretes several key enzymes. These diet these deficiencies can be fixed by changing our diet. We can avoid certain foods or eat food containing naturally occurring digestive enzymes or the over the counter eat enzymes, that is your OTC. The supplements can be also taken there. And just some for your interest, for interesting facts which are there about the enzymes. As we know that as we all grow older, the enzyme production in our body, it also tends to decrease. Our lifestyles and the type of diet we consume regularly makes a lot of difference in regards to the digestive enzymes in our body. So, one of the best way to keep our digestive tract in shape, we should do aerobic exercises on regular basis. This is a very must point. Every person should do a regular exercise at least once a day. Okay. Now, types of enzymes. On the best, if we talk about the digestive enzyme, these digestive enzymes are of various types. We are going to discuss about these digestive enzymes one by one. The first one which I'm going to discuss is your amylase. It is very important for the digesting the carbohydrates. It breaks down the starch into sugar. It is secreted by both the salivary glands and the pancreas. The measurement of amylase level in the blood is sometimes used as an aid in diagnosing various pancreatic or other digestive tract diseases. High level of amylase in the blood may cause the blocked or injured duct of the pancreas, pancreatic cancer, acute pancreatitis, which is a sudden inflammation of the pancreas, whereas low level of amylase may cause chronic pancreatitis or the liver diseases. The second digestive enzyme is maltase. It in the small intestine releases maltase, which is responsible for the breaking down maltose into glucose, which is a simple sugar. The body uses glucose for energy. During digestion, starch is partially transformed into maltose by amylase enzyme. The maltase enzyme then changes maltose into glucose. This sugar is then either used immediately by the body or it can be stored in the liver as glycogen for the further use. The third is your lactase. It is also named as lactose pyroxene hydrolase, which is an enzyme that breaks down lactose, that is a sugar found in the dairy products. It turns lactose into the simple sugar glucose and galactose. The lactase enzyme is produced by the cell known as or we can which we term as enterocytes that line the intestinal tract. Lactose that is not absorbed and fermented by bacteria in the gut. This can cause a gastric trouble and an upset stomach also. The fourth enzyme is lipase. It is responsible for the breakdown of fats into the fatty acids and glycerols. It is produced in the small amount by the mouth and the stomach and in a large amount by the pancreas. Fifth is your protease, which is also termed as peptidase or proteinase. It breaks down the protein into amino acids. They also play a role in the numerous functions such as your cell division, blood clotting, immune functions. This protease enzyme is produced in the stomach and the pancreas. And the main protease which are present there, one of them is the pepsin, which is secreted by the stomach to break down protein into peptides or small groups of amino acids. These amino acids are then either absorbed or broken down further in the small intestine. The second type of protease enzyme is trypsin, which is formed when an enzyme is secreted by the pancreas is activated by an enzyme in the small intestine. This trypsin then activates the additional pancreatic enzymes such as carboxypeptidase and chymotrypsin to help in the peptide breakdown. Next is the sucrase enzyme. It is secreted by the small intestine where it breaks down the sucrose into fructose and glucose. This sucrase enzyme is found along the intestinal villi that are tiny hair-like structures that line the intestine and are absorbs nutrients into the bloodstream. And the last enzyme which I am going to discuss is hydrochloric acid, or HCl we can say. It helps to denature indigested proteins and kill any bacteria or virus that remain in the food. It also helps in the activating pepsinogen to convert them into the pepsin. After this, I am going to discuss with you through a 3D video how the enzyme is going to function, how they are formed and they work in the digestive system. So let's moving ahead. The enzymes which are involved in the digestion. We don't have chunks of cake or bits of burgers floating around our bloodstreams. So how we get energy from the food we eat? It's a big issue. So for this, two things have to happen to make our food useful from our lunchbox. One is in this food we can broken down into the small pieces which can be digested easily, and then it has to be absorbed into the bloodstream. The digestion process takes place in many sections along the alimentary canal, and absorption happens in the small intestine, which is found just after the stomach along the length of the digestive system. Let's now know how the digestive enzymes help in the digestion in detail. The large molecules which make up the part of the food like carbohydrates, lipids and the proteins are too big to move into our blood. So they need to be digested into the smaller molecules by a physical process like chewing and chemically by special protein named as enzymes. Different types of enzymes digest different types of food. To understand this, we will take few examples of the large molecules of the food. First is the carbohydrates. The foods like rice and pasta are made up of carbohydrates. The simplest carbohydrate enzymes are sugars, which can be joined into the big molecules to make complex carbohydrates like starch. Carbohydrates are digested by carbohydrase enzyme such as amylase. This amylase is a special type of carbohydrase enzyme which breaks down starch that is a big carbohydrate into a smaller molecules, and then it can be further broken down into glucose which is small enough to be moved into the bloodstreams. Amylase is found in the saliva which is secreted in the mouth area. The salivary amylase chemically breaks down the carbohydrate starch, and another amylase is released into the intestine from the pancreas. Now the next molecule, large molecule is protein, which are found in the meat, fish, beans and pulses. They are made up of amino acids and are digested by the protease enzyme. This protease enzyme breaks down the protein into amino acid. Protease called pepsin breaks down the protein in the stomach, but this pepsin doesn't work once food moves into the small intestine. Here conditions are different in the small intestine. So, a different protease called trypsin is released into the small intestine from the pancreas to continue the protein digestion. Now one question arises in my mind, that how conditions are different in small intestine in comparison to stomach. The answer is the walls of the stomach is acidic, very acidic, and has a pH of about 2, whereas small intestine has a pH of about 8. The protease enzyme, which works well with pH 2, doesn't work well with the pH 8. This is the reason protease enzyme trypsin is needed in the small intestine. Moving ahead, the third molecule is the lipids, which is digested by the lipase enzyme into the glycerols and fatty acids. But it is not an easy job. It requires a process which is termed as emulsification to take place. First, this emulsification, it breaks down the lipid into the small droplets which have large surface areas for the lipase enzyme to work on for the digestion of the lipids. Moving ahead now. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the different digestive enzymes, the deficiencies of it, how it work on. There are a variety of health conditions that can interfere with the secretion of enough digestive enzymes to fully digest the food. Some of them are inherited genetically, while others are developed over time. Some of them are, let's discuss them one by one. The first one is lactose intolerance. This lactose intolerance, it occurs when you are not able to digest the lactose enzyme because of the insufficient production of the lactase by the small intestine. When we consume the dairy products, we may experience the bloating, diarrhea, and the abdominal pain or the gastric trouble there in our body. The next deficiency is lactase non persistence. It is a very common type of lactose intolerance that some people develop. It affects around 65% of the people, and it's caused by a very decreased activity of the LCT enzyme. The symptoms begin with 30 minutes to 2 hours after eating or drinking dairy products. It maintains the lactase in body cheese or the yogurt can be taken better than taking a very fresh milk. The third deficiency which we can discuss is the congenital lactase deficiency, which is also termed as congenital lactase. It is a rare inherited form of lactose intolerance which happens when a newborns are unable to break down the lactose in the breast milk. They get severe diarrhea if not given lactose free alternatives. It is caused by the mutation in the LCT genes that provides the instruction for making the lactase enzyme. Next deficiency is the secondary lactose intolerance. It develops when the lactase production is reduced because of the diseases that can damage the small intestine. These diseases include the Crohn's disease, illness, or injuries that affect the intestinal wall. The last deficiency which I'm going to discuss is the exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. The pancreas, they produces the key digestive enzymes like the amylase, protease, and the lipase. So people who suffer from the exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, that is EPI, have a deficiency of these enzymes. As a result, the patient is unable to digest the food properly, like the fats, in continuation to EPI. The patient may also suffer like your cystic fibrosis, which is an inherited genetic condition causing a damage to the lungs and the digestive system. The patient can also cause the chronic pancreatitis, which is an inflammation of the pancreas that can permanently damage organs over time. Or the pancreatic cancer can be also caused there. Moving ahead, now we are going to discuss about the foods which have a very high enzymes in it. So let's discuss about these, some of the foods there. The first one is your the raw fruit or the herbs we can talk about is your kiwi. Kiwi contains a protease enzyme which is named as actinidine, which helps to digest the protein. It aids the digestion, it reduces bloating, and helps to relieve the constipation also. The second fruit which we are going to discuss is the pineapple. Pineapple contains a group of digestive enzymes named bromelain, which helps to break down the protein into the amino acid. Third is the papaya. It contains a protease enzyme called papain, which breaks down protein into building blocks, including the amino acids. Also helps in the case of diarrhea, constipation. High heat can destroy the digestive enzymes, so papaya to be eaten ripe or uncooked also. It is very good for the health. Next is the mango. Mango, it contains the digestive enzymes amylase, which breaks down the carbs, that is your carbohydrates, from starch into the glucose and maltose. Amylase also helps in ripening of the mangoes also. Next fruit is your bananas. It contains amylase and glucosidase enzyme which breaks down the starch into the smaller and more easily absorbed sugar. These sugars are more active as bananas starts to ripen. This is also the reason why yellow bananas are much sweeter than the green bananas. Bananas also help in the case of constipation and reflux diseases. The next food is the herb which we can say is ginger. It contains a gingibian enzyme, zingibian enzyme, which digests the protein into building blocks. Ginger, it helps to move the food faster through the stomach. It boosts the body's own production of the digestive enzymes, and it treats the nausea and the vomiting also. And as we all must have heard during the COVID time, all the doctors has also advised that we should take the ginger in our diet, which is very good for the immune system also, and it develops the enzymes and kills the bacteria which are harmful for our body. The next is your avocados. It contains a lipase which helps to digest the fat molecules into the fatty acids and the cholesterol. The next is the honey, which is very good for the health. For the flat belly also, the doctors advise to take the honey in a lukewarm water. So let's discuss about the honey. This delicious liquid is very rich in many beneficial compounds. It contains enzymes like your diastase, which breaks down the starch to maltose. Amylase enzyme is present, which breaks down the starch to glucose and maltose. Invertase enzyme, which breaks down the sucrose to glucose and fructose. And a protease enzyme is also present in the honey, which breaks down the protein into the amino acids. The next food is kefir. A new name for me also. Kefir is a fermented milk beverage that contains the cultures of the yeast, lactic acids, bacteria, acetic acid bacteria, and many digestive enzymes like your lipase, protease, lactase. This kefir, it helps in the case of diarrhea, constipation, and reflux diseases also. Next food is your sauerkraut. It is a type of a fermented cabbage that is considered as a probiotic food. It helps in bloating, gas, constipation, diarrhea, reflux diseases, stomach pain, Crohn's diseases, and ulcerative colitis also. The last food which I'm going to discuss with you all here for the this digestion for the digestive enzymes is your kimchi. Kimchi is a dish which is made from the fermented vegetables. It contains bacteria of Bacillus species which produces protease, lipase and amylase enzyme. This kimchi, it helps in the diarrhea, constipation, and the digestion of fats, proteins, and the starch. So this was the whole summary of the foods which are very good for the health and the drinks which can be taken for the natural digestive enzymes to work properly there in our body. Moving ahead. Okay, so here are some of the questions I have tried to just figure out from the material which is discussed with you all. So these are the questions and the options are also given there. So you all can test yourself and recall from your memory what exactly the answers are. And there we go. I have tried to give the answers of the questions which are asked. So thank you so much